All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Good morning, happy Friday, happy start of the spring semester. My name is Athena Chardelaine. I'm one of the Assistant Directors of Academic Advising, and we're excited to be here talking about various student leadership positions. So I'll go ahead and ask my fellow colleagues to introduce themselves. Lauren, do you want to get started?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Lauren Glazer, she, her pronouns. I serve as the Associate Director of New Student and Family Programs within Campus Life, and I have been at Berkeley for almost 5 years now. So thanks for joining us, and we are excited to talk to you about all of our student leadership positions today.
Awesome. Thank you. Megan?
I turned off my video on accident. Hi, everyone. You'll have to forgive me, I have a mask on because I'm on campus this morning, but my name is Megan Hart-Malloy. I use she, they pronouns, and I'm the Associate Director for Student Involvement within the Campus Life team. So really excited to talk with you all about student leadership today.
Thank you. Taimana?
Hello, everyone. My name is Taiwana Flores, and I'm the manager for the Berkeley Summer Initiative Program. I've been at Berkeley for 10 long, loving years, and I'm so excited to talk to all of you about the opportunities that we have available to you.
Thank you. Bess?
Hi, my name is Bess Tracy. I use she, her, hers pronouns. I work in housing and residential education. I oversee our 160 Massachusetts Avenue building, and I've been at Berkeley now for about, 3.5 years, I think.
Katie?
Hi, everyone. My name is Katie Schmidt. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm the area coordinator for housing and residential education. And I've been at Berkeley for 5 years.
Nicole?
Hi, y'all. I'm Nicole Malinzak. I use she series pronouns. I'm an associate director in the Career Center, and I also oversee student employment. And I've been at Berkeley almost 5 years. So welcome. Thank you all.
Nice. Thank you, everyone. All right. So before we get started in talking about the various different student leadership positions that we will be offering in the upcoming school year, we just want to let you know, as far as we know, as it pertains to the upcoming summer and fall, Berkeley is planning to be business as usual. If anything changes about that and how it affects these positions, we'll definitely communicate with you all. But we just wanted to put this out there as we're planning as if business in terms of the institution will be back to business and back to our normal selves. So just putting that out there. So today we're going to talk about the different student leadership positions we have available. So students who are interested in being a part of being a BSI Ambassador, being a Campus Life Community Connector, being a resident assistant for the summer and or fall, being a student academic mentor, being a student academic mentor for the living and learning communities, or being a part of SGA, Student Government Association. From there, we'll talk about the application and hiring process, give you a little bit information about the timeline that we're working with. We then have Nicole from the Career Center talking about interview preparation. And then we have time at the end, should you all have any questions. So, Tawana.
All right, my colleagues may disagree, but this is the best role. I'm just saying. But I'm here to talk about the Berkeley Summer Initiative position, BSI program in itself, and the actual ambassador role. So a quick overview about the BSI ambassador role. This role is embedded within the BSI program, and it really is a student leader position that is focused on fostering a strong sense of community support and cultural understanding on campus, and really dives into the African diaspora within our community and its students. I will also say that this particular role is for students who have participated through the program between the fall 2017 academic year up until the end of this spring term. So any student who has participated in this program would qualify for this role. I'm going to walk through a little bit more steps shortly as well. So the main responsibilities for the ambassador role are what's highlighted here. So I'll quickly read this out. There's a training that ambassadors go through at the start of the fall term. So essentially it's a 1 to 2 day training that happens in August every year. We bring in professionals across the campus to help guide ambassadors throughout the term in their role and within the student body. I will also say there are currently 30 ambassadors, I think 10 of which are graduating. So we're definitely interested in filling roles for the next academic year. Also, I'll add that as an ambassador, you'd be part of our pre-orientation program. Every fall, we run a robust week-long orientation for students entering in the fall semester. So you'd be responsible for assisting me, the BSI leadership team, with the whole event logistics that happen throughout that week. Ambassadors also go through a professional development experience each term. We strongly believe in advancing students in multiple ways. So we go through several trainings each term, that fall and spring semester. And then there's also programming support that happens throughout the year. We have sessions, we've had family dinners on campus, we've had visiting artists. We ask you to do social media. So there's a lot of different programmatic support that we need throughout the academic year. And that's part of your role as well. Requirements. One of the main ones is SAP standards. So you are meeting the satisfactory academic progress, which essentially means that you are meeting all the institution's requirements and on the trajectory to graduate on time. That's one of the requirements. Meeting a minimum of 3.0 or higher as a GPA. And you should have completed 2 full semesters. So if you are entering fall 20 students, you would qualify for this role at the completion of this term, the end of the spring term. So, and any student who has been prior to that. And again, I have to reiterate that this role is for students who participated in the program. You must be able to commit to the academic year responsibilities that I outlined in the previous slide, and also be able to arrive on campus and be present for the orientation week in August and the pre-orientation week in August as well. I will say, we're still in the planning process for this upcoming pre-orientation program. So more to come on that on actual dates, but right now we're thinking high level here, and just your commitment to coming in for August is essential. Another component is to participate in a spring 2021 research project that we're also involved with. So that's another requirement as well. And, benefits is to get that money. We all like to get a little money, and also to be in a leadership role on campus, which is one of the most important things.
All right, thanks, Taiwana. Okay, so I am going to talk about the Campus Life Community Connector role, and I'm just going to keep my video off because I'm not really showing up as a human right now on the video, so apologies. Hopefully you all know what a community connector is at this point. This session was really advertised for students going through orientation this week, whether you started this past spring 2021 semester or in the fall or summer. So hopefully you all have been meeting with your community connector this week. It's an upper semester student who leads new students through their transition to Berkeley and help them get acclimated to the Berkeley experience and prepare for their journey. So our overview of the campus life area is that Campus Life Community Connectors will serve as student leaders who work with the Center for Campus Life to create a vibrant and engaging student experience through orientation, programs and events, student clubs, and by referring students to resources and services. So we're currently located in the 150 Massachusetts Avenue lower level. If you're on campus right now, hopefully you will be walking by us soon once classes begin. And if you have any questions, that hub area will be open to ask any questions about campus life. Great. So our overview of what the day entails is to really staff our navigation desk in the Center for Campus Life. So in that lower level of 150 Mass Ave, we have a front desk that we call a navigation desk. Typically in the semester, it's staffed by 2 or 3 students, and they sell tickets to movies, MBTA passes, tickets to the Boston Symphony Orchestra. But it's really a place for any student who wants to get involved to stop by and ask questions about clubs and organizations, orientation, just getting involved on campus in any way. We have over 80 clubs and organizations, so there's a ton to do. In this role, our community connectors also have the ability to serve on one of 4 teams. So we don't need to get into all of the specific teams right now, but that's one of the roles of the community connectors. They'll serve on a small subcommittee and work with other student leaders and our professional team. In the role, they also serve as an orientation leader. So like Taiwana said, our students for the fall 2021 semester, orientation starts about a week before classes begin. So students who are community connectors will come back to campus a little bit early, go through training, and then serve as an orientation leader for the rest of their group. With that, there's also a 1-day retreat at the start of the semester. So we want to really build a community and have a chance for students to meet other peers and to engage with one another. Additionally, community connectors will participate in events, programs, and traditions that the Center for Campus Life entails. And then you will support the mission and vision of the center. Okay, so requirements are to be in good academic and judicial standing with the college or conservatory. You should have a GPA of 2.7 or higher. This is a big one. You must be able to commit to a full-time or part-time position for at least 1 academic year. The academic year starting next August 2021 and then ending in May 2022. And then you also have to serve as an orientation leader before classes begin. We don't have the dates for fall 2021 orientation yet, but orientation typically begins about a week before the first day of classes. And then also one of the biggest requirements is just a desire to help students adjust to Berkeley. So some benefits that you would receive in this role are, there we go, to positively impact the lives of both new and continuing students. You'll also have a chance to work with our parents and families, which we have a huge network of supportive parent and families. And then you would develop leadership skills and customer service skills within this role. As I mentioned before, there's a supportive network of fellow peers. And then you also have engagement opportunities with our faculty and staff. So if you have any questions about the community connector role, just feel free to put them in the question and answer box, and we will get to those at the end of this presentation.
All right, I'm going to talk a bit about our resident assistant role and our summer resident assistant role. So both of those roles are housed under our Office of Housing and Residential Education. We really strive to empower our students to create positive and safe, inclusive communities. We know that while what happens in the classroom is super important, if you're part of the on-campus living experience, the things that you're learning and the way you're connecting and forming a community is also really important. And the resident assistants are a big part in how to form that community in a healthy, respectful way. So we really work to supplement and enhance the out of classroom learning experience. Great. So benefits to being an RA and a summer RA. In a couple of slides, we'll get to kind of the difference in responsibilities specific to the summer RA role. But generally, if you're an RA in any capacity, you're getting a lot of leadership skills that are super transferable to other positions that you may hold in your life, other jobs you may have, and just kind of the way you interact with folks. So we definitely would say time management is a big one, juggling duty and programs and schoolwork and maybe other outside responsibilities that you have. It really encourages RAs to work on that time management skill, that planning, prioritization, communication, budget management, crisis response, problem solving, and event planning. RAs are responding to crises or incidents while on duty and really honing those skills of how to stay calm, cool, and collected and helping students when in crisis. And then those programs, planning out all of the logistics of that, including budget needs and planning out learning outcomes and what they want their students to get from that experience. Also something that's really special about the RA role and really any student leadership role where you're working within a team is the support network that you gain from being part of that team. You'll have access to a support network within your own, if you're hired, your own specific area. So each residential area on campus has a staff of RAs. So you're working very closely with that staff, but you're also working with RAs across the whole campus. So it's a really great network of folks. Compensation, each position comes with compensation for your work. It's a little bit different for RA versus summer RA. And again, we'll get into that, but it's reduced or no housing costs, reduced housing costs for the full year, no housing costs for the summer. All RAs get a meal plan, et cetera. And then we also really try to provide ongoing development. So there is as with some of these other positions, there is a dedicated training component or dedicated training time before the beginning of the fall semester for the academic year RA and before the beginning of our summer 5-week program for the summer RAs. But we try to provide ongoing development throughout your time as a resident assistant. We've done offsite retreats for full year academic RAs, monthly group dialogues during the academic year, meetings with your supervisor, et cetera. Okay, so thinking specifically about the academic year RA, so looking at fall 2021, spring 2022, that full academic year, our expectations and the responsibilities of RAs would be to attend the entire fall and spring training. So we do fall training before the fall semester, before that orientation week, usually starts in about mid-August. And then we also do a spring training as well, and that happens usually the week to 2 weeks before spring orientation. We would give you all of those dates as soon as we know them if you were hired into the position. We expect folks to attend our monthly in-services, which is that monthly ongoing development that I mentioned in the previous slide. And then RAs are also expected to help out with the RA selection process, usually helping out with interviews. A big part of the RA job is community building. So we expect our RAs to be role models and educators on campus for their residential community. They oversee a very specific community of residents. So that could be a floor or part of a floor or a couple of floors or a whole building, depending on the residential area. And then coordinating and planning programs and bulletin boards throughout the semester. I also mentioned on the previous slide that duty and crisis response is a big part of the RA role. You would be trained about what our protocols are and what our incident response expectations are for RAs. But we do expect them and their responsibilities to perform rounds of your area when scheduled. And that's just to make sure everything is safe and everyone is doing okay in the residential area, and then respond to incidents as dictated by protocol that we would train you on. Some additional responsibilities, we do have, every area has staff meeting once a week. And the expectation is that you'd be meeting with your supervisor regularly during a one-on-one meeting. So some specific summer RA responsibilities. Summer RA summer RA role consists of a lot of the same tasks of the previous slide, but one of the big things is that the summer RA is often dealing with or working with students that are minors, are usually our 5-week program, which are students ages 15 to 17 for the most part. So if you were to be working in a building with minors, there is also a curfew process as part of that. So you would be helping out with that curfew process. There would be protocol differences between minors and students over the age of 18 that you would be trained on. So you would be expected to know the differences in how you would respond to an incident if it's someone under 18 versus someone over 18. Something that's really important for us to share with you, summer RAs in general cannot have guests in the building if they're living in a building with minors. That's just something that we want you all to know up front. Summer RAs can hold day jobs outside of Berkeley. Days are generally pretty open other than training and move-in days. A lot of the summer RA responsibilities take place in the evening hours. You can, but don't have to take classes over the summer. So that's definitely an option for you, but not a requirement. Tentative start date is like early July. So we'll be getting more information about the specifics of what summer may look like. As Athena said in the beginning of this presentation, a lot of this is dependent on us proceeding as though Berkeley is going to be operating as normal, but this could all be subject to change. Compensation for the summer RA position, you'll generally, we say you work 20 hours a week and you would get a $330 weekly stipend and you get free housing during the duration of your employment. So for requirements to be an RA and a summer RA, you must be enrolled full-time for fall 2021 to apply for either role. You need to have at least a 2.7 cumulative GPA. You must be in good standing with the Office of Community Standards and Conflict Resolution. And then I mentioned some of those required trainings. So full year RA training has a tentative start date of mid to late August. Again, we would get that date to you ASAP. Some things are still just being determined. And then summer RA training has a tentative start date of early July. I know that I mentioned that summer RAs can hold outside jobs. Full academic year RAs can as well, but RAs cannot hold other on-campus jobs along with their RA role. So that's something that's really helpful for you all to know.
Awesome, thank you. So now I'm going to talk about the student academic mentor position. So the student academic mentor position is housed within academic advising. So the premise behind academic advising is building a relationship between the student and the advisor in order for students to feel empowered to take agency over their education. So meeting regularly with an academic advisor, students are able to realize their personal and educational potential. And then within academic advising, we highly encourage students to meet with their academic advisor at least once a semester to check in to ensure that everything is okay and that you're on track to graduating. All right. So in thinking about the student academic mentor position, you want to think about it in 4 broad categories. So the first category is academic mentoring. So providing assistance to the first year students within the college and the conservatory. So thinking about as you're providing assistance, you're building a rapport with these students, you're sharing your experiences because you all have been first year students at some point. So just sharing some tips and strategies on how you've been successful, but also just sharing some points where you weren't successful and how you were able to navigate those experiences. In addition to that, as a student academic mentor, which we also call a SAM, you will be holding office hours 1 to 2 hours a week. And that's usually when the semester is pretty slow, but as we get closer to the registration period, midterms week, the finals week, we do encourage the SAMs to hold more office hours because your students definitely will need the support. In addition to that, you will be creating and disseminating weekly newsletters. So mentioning events that's happening within academic advising, but also advertising various events and support services that are needed for these students. As a SAM, you will be assigned to a LENS course, which is our Entering Engaging seminar. So depending on the SAM, you might have 1 to 2 lens sections that you'll be assigned to. So that can be anywhere from supporting 20 to 40 students. During the 3rd or 4th week, you, as well as the academic advisor that's assigned to that lens course, will go in and introduce yourselves so that students could put a name to a face, but also educate students on what your role is in ensuring they're successful during their first semester at Berkeley. In addition to that, you will be coordinating with the lens instructor to facilitate 2 out-of-class activities. Depending on if we're hybrid, fully remote, or back in person fully, those activities can range from, going to the Museum of Fine Arts, going to the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum, but even going to the Institute of Contemporary Art. There are definitely a ton of options, and even last semester in the remote environment, SAMs have been very successful with facilitating out-of-class activities, but we definitely will cover that in training. And then finally, as it pertains to the lens support, SAMs do go in during the last 2 weeks with a staff member across campus to facilitate workshops on well-being and explorations. Another 2 components of the position is assisting the academic advising team with our advising events. So our key events include orientation. So we had 2 SAMs join us yesterday for our panel. We have our majors and minors fair. We do facilitate understanding your degree audit workshops, as well as planning your second semester workshops. So the SAM role in those events include promoting them in your newsletters, helping the advisors with any preparation needs that they have. And if we're back fully in person, the day of, as it pertains to setting up, executing the event, but also helping with any breakdown and cleanup. Because this position is usually held by students who are very ambitious and just want to learn and grow, we do offer professional development in 3 different capacities. So the first capacity is our SAM town halls, where we get together as a big group and check in. It's a lot of idea sharing, but also free food. If we're back in person, if not, we can definitely create some virtual pizza and have it go around. In addition to that, you'll be meeting one-on-one with an academic advisor to check in and getting that individualized support and other opportunities for professional development, sending out articles, but also encouraging students to attend events. All right, so some benefits. This is not all inclusive, but what comes to mind first definitely is the skills that you develop within this role. You learn about your leadership skills because you are leading a group of students, but you also are responsible for a lot of the information that they need to receive. Being very creative, because as we know, a lot of first semester students do not check their emails. It's sometimes hard to get them to attend events. So being creative on how do you engage them and still are successful. Organization, because there are so many different components to it. And even yesterday in our touch base meeting, we talked a lot about being organized, because there's so many components in terms of ensuring you're on time with submitting your timesheets, you're on time with meeting deadlines. So learning what that skill is like. Public speaking, because you will be getting in front of a group, but more importantly, how do you build relationships? I know SAMs who are no longer SAMs, but are still connected to the students that they supported. And then finally, we all like to get paid. So the compensation for this position is $14.50 an hour. So some requirements to go over. In order to be a SAM for the fall, you do have to have full-time undergraduate enrollment unless you have been approved to part-time. If you are applying to be a summer SAM, you do not need to be enrolled in classes. You must be meeting student academic progress, so having a minimum GPA of 2.7, and then be in good community standing. Other characteristics that we look for are those who have a desire to help others. You're a self-starter, you can take initiative, propose ideas, be organized, and be willing to either enhance or continue to grow your interpersonal communication. Typically speaking, the time commitment is about 4 to 7 hours a week, but during the high peak times, those do increase. And then you have to be available for SAM training, which will take place either late August or right before orientation begins. So in addition to the SAM position, we do have a SAM position that's in the living and learning community. So that is working collaboratively with residence life. So the position is still the exact same as I mentioned about the SAM position, but there are some tweaks to it. So when you think about the LENS support, as a general SAM, you do not have to attend the LENS classes regularly. However, for a SAM in the living and learning community, you do. As a SAM in the living and learning community, you are living with these students. So you're living in the residence halls and working with the RAs to do programming and collaborating. The compensation looks a little bit different. So as a general SAM, you get an hourly rate versus for a SAM in the living and learning communities, you get a discount on a room. And please know that it's for a shared double. You're still able to select your roommate. However, your roommate does not get the discount. Your roommate has to have been assigned a housing lottery number. And please note that the discount is only for the fall 2021 semester. So that's really important. And then another key difference is that the time commitment in terms of training is a little different because you begin training earlier because you start off with the RAs and then you transition over to myself and the other SAMs for the rest of the SAM training component.
All right. Hey, everyone. So I am going to talk to you about SGA, or Student Government Association, and I serve as the advisor to the Student Government Association Board. So I'll give you the details on how to get involved with that. Okay. So Student Government Association, typically referred to as SGA, like around campus and by students, serves as the visible and active organization to advocate for our peers' interests, rights, and concerns at both Berklee College of Music and Boston Conservatory at Berklee. So essentially, student government serves as the voice of the student body. So this is kind of a snapshot at the job profile. Obviously, the one thing that could look a little bit different are the weekly all board meetings over breakfast in the CAF. So clearly that hasn't been happening in the fall or this semester, but in a typical semester outside of COVID, we get together once a week, all of the board members for breakfast, and we do our business meeting over breakfast. So it's just a really fun and like bonding way to do business with SGA. So hopefully we'll be able to implement that sometime soon in the future. Students that serve on SGA have a lot of meetings with senior leadership across both the college and the conservatory. So for first semester folks, senior leadership would be Roger, the president, Kathy Young, who's the executive director of the Boston Conservatory, Larry, who is the provost of Berklee College of Music, Betsy Newman, who oversees all of student enrollment and engagement. So a lot of the folks that are probably signing those campus-wide emails and have been communicating with you at a high level, SGA meets with these people regularly to discuss student concerns. So they also have one-on-one meetings with peer leaders. So a lot of the positions that are being discussed today, SGA will reach out to those individual communities to hear more about their experience as a peer leader on campus, what they're hearing from the students they're working with, and essentially what campus and student leadership could be doing better for our student leaders. We typically do a one all-day retreat at the beginning of each semester. So it's a time for us to get together. Obviously, we're doing it virtually to kind of set the agenda for the semester and see what we want to focus in on during our time together, and then what concerns, what ideas have been coming from the student body that we feel like could be addressed in the next 15 weeks or in that semester. And then certainly folks on SGA are expected to participate in various events that they coordinate, programs, and then again, typically off-campus trips that we would do in a non-COVID environment. So this is what the compensation looks like for SGA. So this is a paid position. So the president makes $14.50 an hour. Executive board, which is about 7 positions, make around $14 an hour. And then divisional representatives who represent the various academic departments make $13.50 an hour. And then again, we get together over breakfast to do our business meetings, and that is free to members. So these are some of the requirements to participate or to run for election on SGA. So you must be a third semester or higher student to run for Student Government Association. The members are actually voting on that right now. They might change it to be second semester or higher. And so if that is the case, we will publish that on the student leadership website. You have to have a cumulative GPA of 2.7 or higher, be in good standing with both the college and the conservatory, depending on where you're enrolled. And then you would be elected by peer voters. So for SGA, this is what is a little bit different. So when you complete the student leadership application, if you're interested in running for SGA, basically what you're doing by completing the application is saying, I intend to run for one of the positions. And then from there, what we would do is we would coordinate an election, and then you would go up for election by the student body at large. And that typically happens a little bit later in the semester. Sometimes if we have single positions open, so we have a few right now, we'll hold a internal special election, and they will be pushing that out through student news shortly to try and fill some of the open positions. So in that case, you would run for election, and then you would be elected by the board members. So if you're interested in serving, the commitment is 1 academic year. So from fall 2021 to spring 2022 is when you would hold that role. And then you must have held a previous student leadership role to run for the executive board. So that's only for the executive board. That really could be almost any student leadership position or student employment position on campus. But for the representative roles in the academic divisions, this is not a requirement.
All right, so now we're just going to go briefly through what the application timeline is going to look like. So there's 3 steps to this process. So the application process, which you all will go through, which is followed by an interview, and then decisions. So the application has gone live, and if someone could put that in our chat, that would be wonderful. So the application opened this past Tuesday, and it closes Friday, February 19th, 2021 at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Really important to keep in mind is that we do have a time of when this application closed. So the application itself includes various components. So there's demographic information that you all have to submit. And then for all students, regardless of what positions you're applying for, there are 2 common questions that you need to need to answer. And then for each position that you're interested in, there is 1 supplemental question per position. So for example, if it was myself and I'm interested in applying to be an RA, a SAM, and a BSI Ambassador, I would complete the 2 common questions and then complete 3 supplemental questions because I'm interested in 3 positions. So that's something to keep in mind. And then just to give you another idea about the timeline. So once you apply, you will be able to sign up for an interview beginning the week of February 22nd, 2021. And then all participants will receive an email instructions on how to do so. And then tentatively speaking, we are looking to host our virtual interviews somewhere between March 1st through the 12th, 2021. As we are finalizing dates, we'll definitely be sure to communicate that to you. And then again, depending on the positions that you apply for, you're having 1 interview per position. So again, if it was myself, I would have 3 interviews because I'm interested in 3 different positions. Decisions. So depending on the position, so if you're applying to BRA, decisions will be released by somewhere in March 2021. And then for all other positions, the decisions will be disseminated to students around April. We're still working out the dates on when you would have to accept or decline by because we're still waiting on what the institution is doing. And just thinking generally speaking, there are 3 outcomes depending on how everything goes with the application as well as the interview. You could be offered a position, you could be assigned as an alternate. So to say that we would definitely love to hire you, unfortunately, we don't have enough spots. However, if a spot does open up, you would definitely be considered. And then there's the option where we're unable to offer you a position, and it could be for a variety of reasons. So please keep that in mind. So some questions that you might have includes, what if I get multiple offers? We definitely encourage you all to apply for any and all positions that you're interested for and you meet the requirements for. And we've definitely had situations last year where students were giving multiple offers. So we'll definitely talk to students because it is on a case-by-case basis, but we do know students who do hold multiple positions. But it's more now a conversation about, is it feasible? Is this something that you feel that you realistically can handle? So definitely, again, if you're interested in all positions, apply, see what happens. And then when the outcome happens, make a decision on that. All right.
All right. So I'm here to kind of talk about how this all fits into the bigger student employment program. So all of these roles, except for the RA position, is a part of student employment. And so what we want you to do is know a little bit about the basics of what makes you eligible to work in a student employment job, some of the benefits of student employment, and then flipping over to the Career Center side of the house, how you can make sure that your applications are strong and that you're putting your best foot forward. So we'll just give you a brief overview. If all you remember is I need to reach out to student employment or view the toolkit and reach out to the Career Center, then we'll be having a successful morning. So student employment, to reiterate what all of my colleagues here have said about their positions, especially these leadership positions on campus, it's a really wonderful way to gain hands-on experience, to gain a portfolio building experience, to explore interest, to develop and flex your leadership skills, and explore potential future career options. So we're really excited about all of the skills that you gain through the variety of these positions that we've gone through today. It's also a really wonderful opportunity to make connections with other folks on campus that you may not always intersect with based on just your classes. So you get to connect with other students, with faculty, with a variety of staff, with senior leadership potentially, while also supporting the Berkeley community. And that can be a really positive benefit and impact on both you now and you in your potential future career. And then, of course, we want to make the money. So it's also important to help you support yourselves while you're giving back to the Berkeley community through the money or the housing stipend that you earn. Okay, we'll go to the next one. So the qualifications, and I know this is a lot of information. I'm going to put in the chat a link to the Student Employee Toolkit. All of this is on there. But what I want you to know about student employment eligibility is you do have to be registered for a minimum of 6 credits in any semester that you want to be working. So the fall and spring semesters, if they're required for your job, you also have to be registered for a minimum of 6 credits. Student employment is open to domestic and international students, but if you are an international student, you must have a valid US Social Security number. If you don't have one yet, our area can help you get one. So you can sign up for a Social Security training. We walk you through what the process is, help you get all your paperwork together and go apply with the Social Security Administration. So certainly reach out to us if you've got questions about that. You do have to be located within the US, even to work remotely. So if there is a component of remote work, and we're optimistic that we can be business as usual, Boston campus, bustling next academic year, but should there be any remote work, it has to be done within the US. And you'll just need to start gathering things like a scan of your passport or a birth certificate, just so that we can process your applications and get you paid, which is really important. And then the other piece that you're going to want to have put together is a strong resume and sharp interview skills, because all of these positions are really elevated student employment positions on campus, and they're very competitive. You want to make sure you're putting your best foot forward with your applications, both in your common application and through Workday. So we're going to talk a little bit about how the Career Center can help you in getting eligible for a student employment position and also putting forth a strong application. So the other hat that we wear in student employment lives in the Career Center is that we help you prepare for both on-campus opportunities off-campus opportunities like internships and jobs. And this slide that you're seeing here is just a sort of small bit of what we can do to help you in determining what skills you're gaining from the opportunities that you have, what opportunities you want to seek, job search, LinkedIn tactics, website development. We do a lot of workshops and clinics around all sort of professional development and skill building. So make sure that you come and connect with the Career Center to get all of these pieces in place so that you feel confident when you graduate in building your career. And so we're going to talk a little bit about the documents and the things that you need to do for these applications. So the way that you can connect with us to polish that resume, to get your interviewing skills up to snuff, is by dropping in for a walk-in hour, 1 to 3 every day. There's a link on the Career Center website, and we'll send you a Zoom room, and you come in and you don't need an appointment, just at a time that works for you. That's about a quick 10-minute question, a quick review, or a quick question about interviewing. You are eligible to take as many 30-minute one-on-one advising appointments with a career advisor, which there are 8 of us in the Career Center who are ready for you. So you are able to sign up through the Career Manager for those appointments. You can do a mock interview, you can do a resume review, and you can visit our website to gain guides to interviewing and resumes as well. I'll also put that in the chat when I'm done. We're in the Q&A. So you have that ready for you so that your materials are strong. And then just a couple of tips here about interviewing. The most important part about interviewing is that you are prepared. And a common sort of piece of feedback that we get from people both on campus and off campus who are hiring our students is that often folks come into an interview not fully sure about the job description and not fully prepared to talk about how they're a good fit. So it's really important that as you're preparing your applications, as you're submitting your written answers and your resume, that you do your research. Make sure that you read the job description all the way through and start to think through and make connections based on your experiences as to why you'd be a good fit for that position specifically and why you're interested in that position. It's a very common question to be asked. Why do you want this job? And so that's definitely something that you're going to want to think through as you prepare all of your materials and you prepare to interview. It's always a good idea, just like your music, to practice before the main event. So it's important that you go through a mock interview, that you talk through some of these answers, because if you don't and you're a little bit nervous, sometimes we're not sure what might come out, and it doesn't represent everything that we wanted to say. And we want to make sure that you leave an interview feeling confident, that you expressed yourself in a way that feels good to you, that you feel proud of, and that put your best foot forward for the consideration for the position. So review, practice, and do your research. We're here to help you. Come meet with me, come meet with one of our career advisors, and I'll put some links in the chat here to get you started on sharpening those interview skills and those resumes. And good luck.
Awesome. So I see that we have some questions.
And before we go into our questions, I just want to encourage everyone to apply for as many positions as you're interested in. You could get multiple offers, and then that's okay. You can choose what position you want to really do, or multiple positions if that applies for you. But I would just encourage everyone not to kind of be set on one position, because if you don't get it, then you unfortunately won't be able to be a student leader at all. So highly encourage you all to apply for as many positions that are of interest to you.
Awesome. Okay, so we have a few minutes left, so let's go through the questions. So this question is there anything inclusive with the SAM role, such as reduced housing or meal plan? And I see Bess. Okay, so I'll answer that. So with the SAM role, depending on which one it is, so if it's a general SAM position, the only compensation is $14.50 an hour. Whereas if you're a SAM within the living and learning communities, the compensation is a discount on a shared double. I believe the discount was 45%, but don't quote me on that just yet. I do have to circle back to Res Life. And then that discount is only for the fall semester. And as I mentioned before, you do get to select a roommate, but your roommate has to have been assigned a lottery number, housing lottery number, and the roommate does not get the discount, only you do. Another question is, if I'm in an internship, can I still work? Bess, you said you were going to answer that.
I was mostly just saying that we should answer it live. I know for the RA roles, we've had students who have been in their internships and they have worked that. I didn't want to answer that for everyone though. But for RAs, yes.
Yeah, there's usually no limitation on whether or not you can have an off-campus internship, which would run through the internship program, and an on-campus student employment role. It's really just a matter of you being able to balance your own time and schedule with your work schedule, your internship schedule, and your class schedule. So we do want to make sure that you don't overextend yourself, but there's no limitation as far as not being allowed to do it.
I think similar question for the off-campus jobs. Again, didn't want to answer that on behalf of everyone, but I know for the RA and summer RA role, we do allow students to have off-campus jobs. It's just a matter of working with your direct supervisor just to make sure you're getting everything done that you need to. And I think I saw with multiple positions, folks saying that you do still have to make sure you're attending all of training, or like any like move-in days for Res Life, or for orientation, like you have to be available for that orientation week. So there are days that you would not be able to miss. So you would have to work with your off-campus job to make sure that they know that, but you are allowed to have off-campus jobs.
As a first semester student, are we eligible to apply for any of the aforementioned roles? Yes. It's just, I know when it comes to verification, if we don't have your grades just yet, we wouldn't be able to determine whether or not we can officially offer it to you. But if everything goes well and we just need to wait for your grades, then yes. But either way, still apply, and then we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
And all of these positions will begin in the fall 2021 semester. So by then you will already have a GPA and at least one semester under your belt. So yeah, this is why we advertised this specific session during orientation week, because it is open to first semester students or anyone who started in the fall or summer semester. So certainly apply. You are eligible for the majority of these positions.
Another question is, can you still be an RA if you study abroad in Valencia during the fall semester?
Yes. So you would have to be hired. If you were hired, if you go through the process, if you're studying abroad for the fall, you could be offered an alternate position. We would not be able to guarantee you a position for the spring, but you could be offered an alternate position. We do often have students who maybe they're studying abroad in the spring, or maybe they're graduating early. There are various reasons why RAs are no longer RAs after the fall semester, and we pretty much always have to hire folks for the spring semester. So you could be offered the alternate position and then potentially brought onto the team for the spring. We would not be able to offer you a position outright just because we do not know what our staffing needs are going to be for the following spring. An RA therefore cannot be part of. No, an RA cannot be part of student government.
Any other questions? Okay, so we are unfortunately running out of time, but I will in the chat include, if you have any more questions, a general email address that you can contact. Put that in the chat now before I forget. So that's the general email address that you can use should you have any questions. And depending on what the question is and for which position, either one of us will answer it. But either way, we want to thank you for joining us. We're so excited to have this many students attend and be interested. We look forward to reading your applications. We look forward to interviewing you, and we look forward to working with you. So happy Friday. Have a good weekend, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Everyone.
Bye.